with a kind of a shaded set in that's almost like a commentary on the other panel.
Right. Yeah, like just it eliminates, like the last few pages eliminate that format of the comic as like boxes within boxes.
Yeah,
and this scene is this drawing is really compelling, and how this is the beginning of it, and you see like heaven, Earth, and then
yeah, that's almost like it's almost like the creation of the Sistine Chapel.
Right,
you've got
right. You have God, man, and then demon.
I'm sorry, page 154.
154. That's right where it begins.
You notice kind of like his torso's splayed and he's reaching down.
Using his eye laser.
just like God's eye laser in that photo.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely, and the cracks in the pavement behind them, like the cracks in the. I mean, it's very evocative of the.
Yeah, and that bird's eye. I'm also kind of confused on what perspective.
The perspective's a little awkward there.
Yeah, like
because
it's the lowest. Like, is it up? Is it down? Is it to the side? It's hard to really discern. Like, where is this the ground?
It's kind of
or is it a building?
I think it's
We're looking at the ground.
Is this the ground?
I think it's fish
This is the road right here, because right here you see there's a light post.
And it's facing up towards us more or less.
So we're looking down on it.
Yeah,
but it is a fisheye, and her feet are kind of
I mean, Lois is very awkward, even in that.
Yeah.
Well, but it's also kind of, I mean, to some extent in comic books, perspective fails. Fails pretty consistently. And it's a credit to how successful it is that upon looking at this panel for the first time, I didn't even notice there was a perspectival problem. Like, I looked at it and I immediately understood what was happening and just kept going.
Well, I think every panel has a perspectival problem. Like,
some of them are more naturalistic than others.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But, I mean, there's definitely a sort of a flattening.
But that's what's good about it. That's why I'm not saying it's a detriment.
It's almost like an Egyptianite kind of
right.
Because the icons are so readily identifiable, you can sort of arrange them in ways that aren't really three-dimensional.
And they still are
explicit.
His
head is at such a strange angle there. It's it's where there's no more numbers.
Right. But it's it very much is. You're very much aware of the fact that there's. That these are not this is not photography, this is not film, this is comic, this comic-ic-ness.
This was a pretty elegant one too. They created another frame using the lens reflection.
Right.
No, that's how do you? And then I thought it was fascinating that I don't know. One of the only things that separates Superman from Clark Kent is the uniform. And they start shredding the uniform at the end to make like this kind of further point about how he really isn't separable.
Right.
And I mean, the glasses and the uniform are the only thing.
Yeah, and you don't see that at all. In any he's not Clark Kent at all in this. That's
very briefly.
Early on. So yeah, I mean that's also really
some subliminal Warner Brothers advertising. I
know. So I was like, what? Why is there Bugs Bunny?
Warner Brothers owns DC.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it just was seemed to be out of place, and it was so. And if you look at it, that perspective is off too, because that shirt would not look like that.
Right.
It's not the face would be not perfectly 3/4, Bugs Bunny. And also, I wanted to talk a little bit about the one thing he says, that the MHHTRPLSS, is he able to? Is it just an auditory response, or was he able to read? Because can he read the signs?
He did read the sign.
Was he? I mean, is he able to? Because it's hard to tell,
his level of intelligence.
Yeah, right. Is he able to comprehend?
Is he literate?
Yeah, is he literate? Is he? And if he is literate, if he's able to read a sign, why can he only form just that one word?
I'm not sure that he couldn't necessarily read the sign, and here's why.
Well, I mean, maybe the origin helps us to...
Well, but he heard the television commercial where they were talking about Metropolis, and then later there's a scene where he's holding a construction worker's head, and the guy says, the sign says Metropolis.
Yeah, right. Right, so that's maybe that's an indication that...
I'm trying to remember where. It's on the road.
117.
Yeah, right. So maybe it just...
Metropolis,
maybe he just can't... Maybe recognizes that that's a sign... That's
Yeah, but I mean, I think he
symbols,
did
but
recognize the sign to some extent, though, because when he was saying Metropolis, he was just looking at the sign.
Right.
If only as like the word as the same image that he saw before, like
that's
symbolic. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's unclear to what extent he's. I'm gonna use the background.
Sure.
I think he. Yeah, I think he does recognize it because.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was compelling to see like what does he recognize? Like how does he know where Metropolis is? Like if he has that's the thing is, I mean, granted, like he must be able to read, but then if he's able to read, why does he conceal? Why does he not say anything? About.
Well, here he goes.
Yeah, it's just like this.
He's laughing,
right.
And then Metropolis.
Right. That's the only. Yeah, and that's the only thing.
Metropolis. WHRBSSH.
War Bash. That was the name of the wrestling match. So we just say War Bash as well.
Right.
So
what does the origin kind of indicate? Anything about?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like what is he? Was he?
It's
what was his origin again? He was from Krypton.
He was evolved very quickly through the death of babies.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so he's like a petri dish kind of.
Yeah,
construction.
They took a kid. They made a baby. They put him out in the wild. Animals ate him up. They took the scraps, brought it back.
I gotcha.
So the idea
cloned the
of
scraps,
destruction and reconstruction.
So and over time, it started gaining defenses. And a few seconds became a few minutes. A few minutes became a few hours. Until finally they had Doomsday.
It's the same thing as the Dragon Ball Z mythologies.
Yeah.
The more you get beaten down, the better you come back.
That's true.
And like 3 different psychics in his head said there was nothing there but bloodlust. They kept coming back to that over and over.
Yeah,
that's pretty great.
And I also like the references to like it wasn't just Doomsday as individuals, Doomsday as event. It was both event and individual. That constant reference, like Doomsday is coming. Like, are they talking about Doomsday that he's going to bring, or Doomsday himself?
Well, I mean, his original name. I mean, his naming was a spontaneous metonymy.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. He was explicitly named by Superman.
Actually, the guy up there.
No, it
was Booster, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Booster said it's something like Doomsday, but then Superman looked at him and said, "This is Doomsday." And I remember that there was a page where he literally names him. Where is that?
I'm pretty sure that was still
49.
Still when we're talking, but
yeah, let me see. Yeah, he's some kind of doomsday machine, and then you have.
But then he says
it's like Doomsday is here.
Yeah, it's boom.
But that mean does he mean Doomsday as in like the apocalypse, or is Doomsday as like this individual?
But that's like the naming moment,
right?
Yeah, and it's clearly ambivalent. But after that, everyone refers to him pretty unequivocally as Doomsday.
And then let's see, 58. Let's see. This is where he looks at him and it's like Doomsday. This is when he begins his battle. That I feel like that was the actual naming. That it's not like for everyone.
Now, what was it you called him, Booster?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Doomsday.
Yeah, right. So
follows Booster's lead.
Yeah, see, that's a little. It's like that ambiguity between like an event and individual. It's like
and then you look. If you keep following this page right here, he takes the punch. It's like, yeah, no big deal. I can take him. And then he gets the kick.
Yeah, then the kick. Right.
And it's like,
what?
Oh shit.
Yeah, it gets to the point where you just no longer have a concept of the magnitude of power that's being used because. Superman's supposed to be unbeatable and like infinitely strong.
Well, that's another thing that's interesting is that I think it's simply because of Superman's strength that Doomsday became who he is.
Right.
That you'll see like maybe the first punch and then maybe his genetics got realigned. Like he went through some kind of like conversion that like okay now I know what I'm up against. So then the kick actually he was able to gauge what level of magnitude do I have to kind of compete with this figure? So I think that was interesting.
You see Doomsday.
Because he doesn't even move with the punch. Like what?
Yeah.
Like why does if he gets the crap beat? Like the first punch, you think it would do something, but it did nothing. It didn't do anything. He took it perfectly well, and then all of a sudden the kick comes in and bam.
Well, I think that's a dramatic construct. I mean, do you see Doomsday as having some sort of like scalar strength?
Well, I think he grows. He grows with like his bones literally grow from punch. Yeah, exactly. The
His protrusions
opposition
become large.